Welcome to Philly. Thanks for coming down here and wearing all of your scarlet.
This looks like a home game to me.
We have already painted this city scarlet red.
I thought it made a big difference today. Boy, did they bring great energy.
Into the air and picked off with a Rutgers touchdown.
I was so happy we were able to sing with the team. That's what college football's about.
Rutgers South. That's all I got to say. Rutgers South. Welcome to Rutgers South, man.
I wanted to just, again, thank our fans. Next week, say Scarlet Out for Saturday night. It's going to be a great atmosphere. Look forward to seeing our fans when we get back home and everybody wear red to the game.
There's a big one coming up on Saturday night for Saturday Night Football. It is the Big Ten opener, a Scarlet Out in Piscataway. Rutgers taking on the University of Iowa at 7 p.m. at SHI Stadium. Welcome, everybody, to this week's edition of Chop Weekly. I'm Chris Carlin, joined as always by our good friend Eric LeGrand. And Rutgers coming off the win this past Saturday. It wasn't necessarily pretty, but it was a win nonetheless, and they are 3-0 on the season, headed into the big opener.
Yeah, Chris, most of the time, all of them are going to be pretty, and you're going to have to pull out some dog fights. But the biggest thing you just said, coming out with a win. You know, if you get a loss in that situation, obviously the mood changes and everything is a lot different. But when you get a win, you're able to move on. You get to correct those mistakes on a Sunday night, try to not make them again, look what you need to improve on, and head into now this week, leading up to Iowa, opening up Big Ten play. You know the guys are fired up.
Yeah, we're fired up too. It was a terrific win the other day, and we'll get into that in just a moment. We're going to hear from Coach SCHIANO with his weekly press conference in just a few moments as well. But one thing we really want to emphasize is that everybody needs to be there and be there early this coming Saturday. Like we said, it is a 7 o'clock kick, but everything is beginning earlier in the day. The brand new Rutgers Boardwalk opens up at 3 p.m. on Saturday. And let me tell you, all the reviews from the home opener against Wagner were off the charts when it comes to the Boardwalk. So many folks were thrilled with all the games, all the food trucks, all the activities for the family as part of the tailgate, getting a chance to the Scarlet Walk as well. That is an amazing setup. We've got to make it out there this Saturday.
I'm going for sure. I already have some friends reaching out to me asking, what time am I getting there? They want to see me on the boardwalk. They want to tailgate. That's what it's all about. The buzz is back in Piscataway. Everyone's having a great time coming down that boardwalk, getting ready for the Scarlet Walk. Everyone is ready for that Scarlet Night Out. Having a 7 p.m. game on a Saturday night, it doesn't get any better than that. So, Chris, yes, we have to make our way over there. And you know, I'm really looking forward to that boardwalk food. That's the best.
Oh, no question. A little sausage and peppers for myself. I cannot wait to get hooked up there. But let's talk about the win the other day. And I think the thing that you take the most out of the 16-14 win over Temple is the fact that Rutgers found a way down the stretch of the game to put it away when they needed to. And again, the effectiveness of that running game late in the game, that offensive line getting a good push, really helping to salt it away with Johnny Langan.
Yeah, that goes back to what the offensive line talking about the strength and conditioning program with Jay Butler and his staff, because they didn't have a lot of success up front in the beginning of that game, and Temple was getting a lot of penetration in the backfield. They were confusing them with their blitz package and up front. So you would think that a team could lose a lot of confidence in that area. But when the game was on the line, they needed to put the game away in the fourth quarter. They were able to rely on that run game, and that's how games are sometimes. Not every game is going to be perfect. You're not going to dominate up front for all 4 quarters, but when you need to dominate when the game is on the line, when it matters the most is what it's all about. And Johnny Langan was the hot hand this game. He was getting hit 2 yards after carrying the ball, but he was carrying people for 7-8 yards down the field. And you got to rely on that. And what a smart play by him at the end of the game. People often don't realize when you're in the fourth quarter of the game, you have the lead, and the team has no timeouts. You slide to make sure that they cannot get an opportunity to get the ball back. And if they go up, I believe they would have went up by 8 points if they would have kicked the extra point and made it. You end the game right there and there. You take one more snap. People have to understand the game of football is trying to get the ball back end the game by taking a knee. And I see coaches coming in want to see.
Let's listen to him.
Yeah, I can.
Any update on Gavin?
Yeah, Gavin will be a game time decision. We'll know as the week goes on.
Look at that Iowa defense. What stands out?
Very fundamentally sound. They know exactly what they want to do. Very physical. Typical Iowa defense.
Greg, you guys are at 19 consecutive home losses in Big Ten play. It's not a record. It's up there as one of the longest streaks. I think you said at the end of last year that you would take a look at the discrepancy there between home and away in Big Ten play. Did you do any of that study in the offseason? And have you been able to find one thing that's been a struggle for you guys at home in Big Ten play?
No. I mean, we did look at it. I can't tell you that I know there's any one thing. We'll keep looking at it.
Follow up, how big would a win be to kind of just get that streak off your back, or is that something that you guys don't even think about?
We just take every game one game at a time. We're trying to be 1-0 at the end of this week. So what's happened in the past, I think when people do that, you put yourself in a bad position. Start looking back or looking forward. We're just here to chop the moment.
Greg, looking at the offense overall this year, I think you guys have ran it on first down 80% of the time. Is there any concern that it's kind of becoming a little bit predictable at all, or?
Not a concern. No, I mean, I'm good. We have to execute a little bit better.
It's just, what were some of those things you saw offensively that you'd like to fix?
Well, there's several. I think some things happened that were, part of it was technical, part of it was schematic. And when I say technical, I mean technique. And part of it was cultural, right? So throw all three things together and you had kind of a perfect storm. But we're moving, we're learning from it, and we're moving forward. And we need to, because we have an opponent that's as stout a defense as there is in the country.
You passed Frank Burns for that record. I know you talked about it after the game, but those first couple of years when you were building the first time around, how tough was it to win with everything that was going on and what you walked into? Is there anything you can say about that time?
Yeah, that was a tough stretch. The good thing, when you're young, you don't know what you don't know. Because if I knew what I knew, I don't know if I would have stuck it out. But you don't know what you don't know, and you just go hard as you can. And that's what we did as a staff and as a program. And fortunately, we were able to get over the hump. But yeah, that was some tough sledding back then, real tough.
Like it's 3-0, but just the penalties these last few games. Is this just early season mistakes that guys are making, or is there kind of a larger concern that this is going to, hurt you once Big Ten play starts?
Well, there's always a concern, as I've told you guys, those who've been around for as long as I have, two old men in the room, Steve. I don't ever want to be number one in least penalized, because I don't think you're trying hard enough if you do that. But I don't want to be down in the bottom either. Somewhere in the, obviously in the top half, but maybe more towards the top quartile. We have too many penalties. Now, when you look at it, some of them are young players that haven't played, and some of them are true freshmen that haven't played. You learn, the whole thing that as I said to you last week, all of us, you're told don't touch the stove because it's hot, you're going to get burned, but sometimes you got to touch it. Hopefully that we run out of those stove moments and we start cleaning things up.
I got a two-parter for you. First, what's your confidence level right now in Sean?
As high as it could be. Yeah, we got the right guy to be our offensive coordinator.
And just secondly, is there a moment when you get more involved in the offense if it continues to struggle? Has that happened yet?
As a head coach, when I first started as a head coach, like I said, I didn't know what I didn't know. And then later on, I became the defensive coordinator as the head coach and was very involved. At this stage in my coaching career, I'm the head coach. So I oversee the offense, the defense, and the kicking game, but I'm not running any of the three. I know I'm very, very confident in Sean and our offensive staff. As I told you at the beginning of the year, this is a young team in many ways. And some of it is chronologically young, some of it is Rutgers young, right? But if you can't have it both ways. If you truly believe the strength of your program is your culture, and then you bring people into your program that may not be chronologically young but are young to Rutgers, then we got to give it a little time. And when you take over the program in the way we did, there's some things that are not quick fixes. And offensive line play is not a quick fix. We're getting better. But take that and have a young quarterback, two young quarterbacks, that neither one have played. Unfortunately, our veteran quarterback was injured. Those are all things that factor in. I know this, that we're getting better. Saturday was a tough outing, but we're getting better. I see it every day, and I'm confident that the path we're going on is going to get us where we need to be. What I'm proud of is that our team found a way to win 3 weeks in a row, and that's very important. Right? And I said it after the game, but when you don't play your best game and you still find a way to win, that's something to be said for your guys, for your teammate, for your team, for your coaches, for everybody. So I know exactly the challenge that's ahead of us this week. And if we play anywhere close to the way we played offensively this week, it'll be a lot worse. And so we all know we have to improve, and but I think that improvement will come.
Greg, before the season, you said you expected Aaron Lewis to make a big jump, 11 tackles on Saturday. Are you seeing that?
I didn't hear your question. I'm sorry.
Aaron Lewis, you said you expected him to make a big jump before the season, 11 tackles on Saturday. Are you seeing that now?
Yeah, I've seen it. I think he's made kind of a steady climb. Aaron is a very, very good football player. He's explosive. He can make plays. So we need him to do that, and he's doing what we need him to do.
You mentioned the offensive line. What do you feel like is kind of the biggest improvement that they need to make right now for you guys to get the offense overall closer to where it really needs to be?
Yeah, I wish it was one thing. That would be an easier fix. But I do think there is some commonality on some of the things, right? We need to just continue to get better at what we do technique-wise. And that may sound like, well, why don't you just do it? Because there's a lot going on. And then there's this other thing, this guy on the other side that's trying to kick your rear end in, So there's a lot to get down for a group of guys that haven't played together. But we're going to be okay. Yeah, I'm confident on that.
Coach, can you talk about the progress that Noah Vedril's making in his injury return and where he is at the moment?
Yeah, he's going to be a game time decision as well. So, it's kind of unsettling. You have two quarterbacks that are game time decisions. Thank goodness Evan is healthy. And, we'll just prepare with as I said after the game Saturday, we will prepare for whoever we have that the doctors tell us are going to be able to play.
Either of those can go. Is there a non-scholarship quarterback that would be on the depth chart?
Mm-hmm. Are they going to be on the depth chart to hand out? No, but yeah, we have one for sure.
Who would that be?
I'm not going to get into that. Yeah.
Greg, you haven't really benefited from the expanded stadium in a meaningful way since you've been back with COVID and the different situations. Is this kind of night what you had in mind when you pushed for that, the idea that this could be a 50,000 plus atmosphere, real college football atmosphere?
Without a doubt, Steve. And I think also as we push, and I say we, Bob Mulcahy and I, and as you know, Steve, we're not in the Big Ten without Bob Mulcahy pushing to get this stadium built. And together, our partnership, I think, allowed that to happen. And getting into the Big Ten, that's the vision I had, is that we expand the stadium, we get into the Big Ten, and we have games like this that sell out crowd, fans that are rabid and a great opponent coming to town, and most of all, Rutgers stepping up and playing the way that we all want Rutgers to play. And that's why you do this. That's why I came back, to put us in this position and to win these games. Are we ready? Well, who knows? We're going to find out. Again, I go back to the beginning of the year. I told you where I knew we were, and I told you it was going to be a work in progress. Iowa's a different program. They're an established Big Ten program. Coach Ferentz is certainly, the dean of the league, but he's one of the best coaches in America, period. And his program continually, there's consistency year in and year out. And you know exactly what you're going to get. They play very hard. They're physical. They're technically sound. So it's a great challenge for our guys, great challenge for our coaching staff. And you put all that together and you throw it in this Saturday night, everybody wearing red to the game and packing the place. That's what college football is all about. Thank you, guys. See you Saturday.
All right, well, that's it, Coach Greg Schiano, as Rutgers prepares for Iowa this week. And as we said, it's going to be a scarlet out on Saturday night. All the fans encouraged to wear red to SHI Stadium for the 7 p.m. kick in the Big Ten opener against Iowa. Okay, Eric, a couple of the takeaways there from what Coach had to say, talking about the opportunity to learn from winning and to see his team in some less than ideal circumstances finding ways to win in the first 3 games. Although it may not be what everybody had in mind, it's still a W nonetheless. And now you enter Big Ten play being able to teach off of winning.
Absolutely. Teaching off of winning is the best place to be, because at least you have a victory. And you could tell Coach is not satisfied with where he wants the guys to be. So he's going to keep on working them, grinding them, pushing them harder. I'm sure they're going to have a hell of a week of practice of getting ready for Iowa, making sure that they're sticking to the game plan, knowing their reads, knowing where they're supposed to be, and doing the things that they need to do to win the game. I can tell you from playing for Coach Schiano, he's going to be zoned in and locked in this week, and making sure every one of the players are as well. So they know the type of attitude that's going to be brought to this week, and they know what they need to do to win this game and finally break that streak of home consecutive losses. They need the fans to be there as well, to be that, as in basketball, you just say like that extra man, the 12th man in football. So I know it's like you said, it's frustrating to see that the game end the way it was, but to teach off of a victory is just that much better than having to teach after a loss.
And getting the blocking up front, like there was attention paid to the offensive line. But I go back to this. When you're able to do it late in the game and you're able to put a game away like that, it's a little repetitive to what I said earlier, but I don't think it can be overlooked. And the other part that we didn't talk about necessarily is the toughness of a guy like Johnny Langan, and somebody that everybody in the stadium knows what's coming, and they're still able to take advantage and get the push. And for Langan to run through the smallest of creases and really do so with a lot of toughness.
I'm glad you brought that up about the smallest of creases, as we see right here. Him running through those holes. He only needs a little bit of space when he's running the ball, and he's starting to become his vision is getting so much better, like a running back almost, where if the ball is supposed to go in the A gap, but it's not there, he's able to bounce to the B gap and even all the way out to the C gap and find those little creases to be able to crease the defense and get to that second level. We saw him do it multiple times in this game, and he was the hot hand this game. They knew it was coming, but you still couldn't stop it, and that's impressive. But the development of Johnny Langan playing multiple positions, but also that offensive line just continue to get that push up front, because even when a play gets stymied up in the middle, when the defense and the offensive line are running right into each other, if you can get that push and carry the pile, that's where those extra yards go, and that's where you get more confidence.
He mentioned that Noah Vedral and Gavin Wimsatt will be game-time decisions this week. Noah being a game-time decision, that clearly shows there's a lot of progress there for him. And, if you can get that experience back, it would help. But at the same time, give me your rundown here on Evan Simon the other day, what you saw, where the improvements were, and where he needs to continue to develop as a quarterback.
Evan Simon, with him, as I always talk about, he's more of the pocket passer. We got to see a little bit of his legs this past game, and him being able to scramble out the pocket and pick up some yards, and what Gavin Wimsatt can bring when he uses his legs. But Evan was trying to use some of his legs. When I see what his biggest issues are, if that first read isn't there, being able to find a second and third guy without panicking and being able to trust your offensive line up front that they're going to protect you so you can stay in the pocket and be able to push the ball down the field. I know we always talk about how he has those short intermediate routes, the screen passes and the 5-yard outs or the slants and things of that nature. He needs to take that next step now and get into that 10 to 15 yards and 25 plus yards down the field where he can really start dissecting defenses and not only honing in on his first guy, but reading the whole defense and getting into that next level where you will protect your offensive line, will protect you and getting it down the field.
And we're not talking enough about what the defense is doing right now, because the Rutgers defense is doing a terrific job on a lot of fronts. You heard Aaron Lewis mentioned there. You heard his name a lot on Saturday with what he's doing. But the linebackers, they continue to play well. And the secondary, Shaquan Loyal made an incredibly athletic play. You get fortunate when you can tip the ball up and it comes right back to you. But with all that green grass in front of you, just showing the focus in the moment of making the play, incredibly important.
And that is taught. That technique is taught. A lot of people don't realize, when you see defenders put their hands up, it's called mirroring the thrower hand. So when the quarterback goes to release the ball, you put your arm mirroring his arm, because when he releases it, you have a chance to then get a deflection. You're not going to get home every time to get a hit on the quarterback or get a sack. But if you can disrupt the throw and the angle of his arm, then that's a win for you. And as you see, he mirrored the throwing hand. It tipped right up perfectly into the air, and he was able to run right under it and take it to the house. That's taught technique at its perfection right there. And that should not be, expressed more on how he was able to remember to do that, not get out of the way, try to just make the hit on the quarterback to try to get an extra hit on him. So he did an amazing job there, and you can tell he's developing and getting better, and he has a bright future here on the Banks.
All right, Eric, so let's talk a little bit about Iowa. What are you expecting this week for the Scarlet Knights when you open the Big Ten schedule? You've found ways to win in the non-conference, but as Coach emphasized a couple of times there, this is a step up now.
Oh, yeah, this should be a slobber knocker game up front. I'm not going to lie. Two defenses that can really, really get after you, whether if it's in the run defense or in the pass defense. It should be a big-time battle up front. And obviously we know the struggles that some that Rutgers have had on offense, but even more struggles on Iowa on their offensive side of the ball. Both defenses finding ways to win games for each other. So I'm looking to see a big, beefy battle up front with the D-line and the offensive line, a lot of hitting, a lot of, lining up in I formation, old school type of football, and seeing who can get that knockback on the ball. But the biggest time might come down to that fourth quarter, Chris, and who has the stamina to keep on pushing through it and seeing which offensive line or defensive line can dominate. So I'm excited for it. Some big boy football is about to happen.
Iowa is coming in off of a win over Nevada 27-0 the other day. So obviously they're capable defensively. They are 2-1 on the season. They suffered a 10-7 loss in their only loss week 2 of the year against their rivals, Iowa State. So it is the Big Ten opener on Saturday. And of course, we need everybody there, everybody early, and everybody wearing red for the Scarlet Out Saturday night football at SCHI Stadium. And again, be there early for not just your tailgating, but also for the Rutgers Boardwalk, which will be opening up at 3 p.m. on Saturday. Make sure you take advantage. If you didn't get a chance to see it in the Wagner game and in the home opener, by all means, should be a lot of fun, a great atmosphere, great food trucks, games for the kids, bands, entertainment, so much fun. And we need you there early on Saturday for the Big Ten opener. Eric, we're looking forward to it. We'll see you then.
I cannot wait to be on that boardwalk and get into that stadium and hear that crowd. It's going to be special. Hopefully those cannons are firing a lot on Saturday night.
7 o'clock, game is on Fox Sports 1 and, of course, on the Rutgers Learfield Sports Network. Make sure that you are there for the Scarlet Knights and the Iowa Hawkeyes in the Big Ten opener. For Eric LeGrand, I'm Chris Carlin. Thanks so much for joining us on this edition of Chop Weekly. We will see you Saturday night at SCHI Stadium.